good evening and welcome to the Now Debate. I am Jared Walters with my good friend and colleague here, Mr. Richard Oliver. We are approaching the most spookiest time of year, Halloween. Richard, it's 2020. How are things going in Pontypridd?
I'm hanging on with the skin of my teeth. No, it's all right. It's raining. It's raining. And people are fed up. That's all I know.
Yeah.
That's the best outcome I got right now. So
the anxiety level is off the chart, and I don't know any other sensitives been feeling this. I know a couple of us have, but anxiety at the moment is literally just like completely and utterly off the chart. The levels of fear on planet Earth right now are quite palpable, I should say, and quite considerable. But guys, all I can say to that is what I've been doing. I can give you what's been helping me is just taking a bit of time out of each day just to remain calm, look inwardly and breathe, because that has been helping me. There have been other things that have been helping me too, but we can't talk about them on camera. I'm only joking. Richard, what about yourself, buddy? How have you been faring this last couple of days? Because you've had a little bit of turmoil, shall we say, or a little bit of interesting activity around your house.
Crazy. The activity at the minute is just mad. Both like on a UFO sort of scale and a paranormal scale in regards to spirit activity. I'm even getting. I had a phone call off my member of my family who had a paranormal experience today. I don't know. It's been weird. To tell you the truth, I felt a bit under attack the last couple of days.
Yeah. We've been feeling that.
It seems like anything that possibly could go wrong has gone wrong. Yeah. And it's all sort of leading along the lines, because we put that video out about spirit talking about love and what's needed is love. And ever since then, I've been having some like dodgy luck, really, really random dodgy luck, and trying to look at the best of it, trying to sort of like go, well, it's not going to, whether I'm stressed or not, it's not going to change it. But yeah, it's been weird. But yeah, we did have we had an incident. Was it Sunday?
Sunday night, but we're going to address this now. We're going to put this out into a video of its own as well. My productivity has been not the best. I am working hard trying to get the website up and running, guys. There's a lot of stuff that we've done over the years that I want to restore on the website, because I think it's a good information archive, plus all the information from the Council of 12 I want to put on there, all the information from Jonathan. But you're right, Rich. On a paranormal scale, but I was noticing last night, this is the first night I felt like a little like just uneasy in my own house, and I haven't felt that in years. I haven't felt like a bit like I don't want to go into the next room, that kind of thing. If any of you guys are experiencing paranormal activity, we may not be able to come out and help because of the lockdowns and things, but we can help remotely. So please do send us an email at paranormalnow@outlook.com. We will try our best to help as much as we can. But yeah, I too am getting things from family as well, buddy, and friends who are having activity around them. And like you said, it's being interpreted as threatening. I don't know if it's actually threatening, but it is being interpreted as that. That's kind of how it's feeling to people. But for us, we meet on a Sunday to do the updates and stuff for the week. So we meet on a Sunday evening, and we do a session just like this, but that's how we do the Now News updates and the other videos that we've been concentrating on with the responses and things. And we were just talking about some articles for an upcoming video about ufology, and I noticed two things, which was we uploaded that video, the very video you were talking about love, We uploaded that video and it was black. It was just 22 minutes of pure black. And I was wondering, the view counter's not going up that high on that. And normally, a bunch of you do sort of tune in when we put a video up. We thank you for that. That is, don't get me wrong, if 10 people see the video and enjoy the video, it's still worth us making the video. We don't look at it in terms of numbers. We look at it in terms of how it affects people and if it helps people. But we just noticed that the way it was being viewed was a bit odd. And we were recording, and I normally check this. But we had to take it down, and we were doing a Skype call, and you just froze. Technology was playing up. You just froze, and when I called you back, you had an object which. Should we take a quick look at... I got a little bit of a video sample. Should we take a quick look at that?
Yep.
Is there anything else you wanted to say first? Because, sorry, you were taking a bit of a deep breath to say something.
Oh, yeah. No, I was just... Yeah, it just sort of happened. It happened at the exact instant that the video froze. And I had my curtains open ajar, because I'm always keeping a lookout. As you know, if you follow the channel, I've captured some... incredible stuff from this view of mine, and this light appeared at the same instant, and well, you see a bit of it now.
All right, well, let's go to that video.
I'm just on. I'm doing a video with Jazzy Jeff, and there was something going down. And my camera, my video call went. I'm sorry if you can't hear me, I've got different earphones on. 2 seconds. I'm sorry, guys. And this came up on the mountain. As my camera went down, this just appeared on the mountain. Don't know what it is. As you can see, that light just underneath is, I believe, a property, and that is, I think, a field. A bright light right in the middle of your screen, you can see, is something else.
So you can see the video kind of up on screen now, right, guys, as you're looking at this. I'm just going to put the loop in. This is from when the Skype call reconnected. Just going to mute this audio file a second. Richard, I don't know if you can you still hear me?
Yes, I got you.
So what we've got on screen now is a video file. We tried to line it up as best we can. You can see it's about a foot out. But this is the view in the daytime from this window. And as you can see, what is on screen now, it's cycling through. So this is through the Skype call that, as Richard is... as you can see, there's a bit of a kind of a mirror effect going on screen here. But this is from the Skype call that we had because we were recording the Now News segment, and Richard just turned the tablet around so you can see where the light is in the darkness, and as you can see in a second, it's going to sort of flip over to a shot that we shot today. The tablet's in a very similar position. You can see it's slightly moved, but there is a property, and you can see when he's pointing to it. Where Richard's pointing to is like above the tree line. So there is a property below that light, but it does look as if it's actually in the sky. It looks as if it's just above that mountain top behind you. Now, this might not necessarily be an unidentified object, but as you said, in the entire time you've lived in that house, you have not seen anything like that. And the fact that we sat there and we watched it, I watched it on camera, you actually obviously watched it live, and it kind of just blinked. It changed shape a few times, and it kind of blinked out a couple of times. And it got brighter, and it got. So if this is, if anyone's got an explanation for this, or what it could be, let us know. But from what we can tell in this video, this is the best that we could get it. It does look as if the light is above the tree line. So you can see that literally on screen now. Any sort of further feedback that you want to give, Richard?
No, I've not seen it. I've been looking out of that window now for nearly 2 years, and I filmed some odd stuff. I've never seen that light like that on the mountain. It in the video I took on my phone, it is an odd shape. It's sort of a bright ball with a section coming off to one side. It's, I don't know, it's just random. It happened. It came on at exactly the time my internet feed went, and it's just the way it's going with this continuous phenomena I'm having at the back of the house. And we were talking about a gentleman who was disclosing UFO information, for the news segment, and this happened. So I mean, I don't know. I don't know. We're not calling it. We're not saying it's UFO. It's just really insane. If it's not, it's a bizarre, insane coincidence, and that's the best I can come up with.
Yeah, very, very, very strange. Very, very strange. So, guys, we're going to come back on to. I was just double checking the stream there. So, it'd be nice to hear from some of you guys in the chat if you just want to let your presence be known. And again, if you are having any paranormal activity in your around you or your house, give us a shout at paranormalnow@outlook.com. There is a means to contact us through the website as well, which is www.paranormalnowinvestigations.com, and just go to the I Need Help section, and there should be something under there to contact us. But the website is in a little bit of a still under construction phase. There's a lot of stuff in the background happening at the moment, but we're hoping to get it up and running in some sort of state by next week. Is the deadline. We're hoping before the end of the month. We had quite a bit of feedback from our last Now debate we did. We didn't do one last week. We were not able to do a live stream last week, sadly, due to a few circumstances that came up. But the last one we did was on the reptilians and the reptilian conspiracy theory. And we had quite a lot of feedback off you guys and some really interesting links, especially of a gentleman who emailed us by the name of Darren. So thank you, Darren, for the email of the information. We do, again, you guys contributing via emails, via commenting, via hopefully interaction with the website when it's done. It all helps. It all helps to sort of, help each other, kind of thing. But Rich, you've been looking into this, so why don't you sort of take a little bit of the floor as to what Darren was coming forward with?
Well, we didn't really cover, right, the rhesus negative, right, which is the blood group of which basically is of an unknown origin. There's 50% of the population of the world that has this Rh negative blood.
15%.
15% of the entire population of planet Earth. There's a group of people in the Pyrenees. I can't think of their name right now. They have the highest count on Earth, and their language doesn't belong to the region. It's in between like Spain and France. The rhesus comes from the rhesus monkey, which was done with tests on blood. So that's where the sort of name comes from. And it is odd because if you're rhesus negative, so Rh negative, you cannot have a child if you're a female with an rhesus positive, because the negative blood will reject the fetus. It goes the same with they don't have the same mutations with the Rh negative, and it's an interesting, there's cultures around the earth that are blonde, blue-eyed, and they're rhesus negative, and they don't fit in with that cultural, societal, image or genetics. It is odd. It's an odd thing, and basically Darren was on about where the royal family, the Queen, Charles and William, have to carry blood round with them. And anywhere they go, if they go to a foreign country, they take blood. And it's very difficult to find out the facts on that, but that is what has been passed out through the press and different sources. And they carry around with them because they are this rhesus negative. And it's a strange thing. I've been trying to do research on it. There's so much on it. There's so much culturally, because it doesn't follow the genetic pattern of Homo sapiens. It doesn't come from our genetic lineage. It's odd. I don't know. It warrants more research. It does add credence to the question of, is there a genetic manipulation? And it's an interesting theory, and it goes in well with the reptilian theory. It is quite something.
Well, this is an article from the Daily Express. I'm not entirely sure of the date. 2019. August 2018. Queen Elizabeth II and her immediate heirs, Prince Charles and Prince William, must always carry an item with them when they travel abroad, a case of emergency, royal expert Duncan Lancombe revealed. It says Queen Elizabeth II is one of the most travelled heads of state in the world, having visited most countries in the world since she took the throne in 1952. But due to her prominent position at the head of the royal family, the monarch and Prince Charles and Prince William must ensure they always have a bag full of their blood with them in case of emergency. Speaking to Yahoo, the royal box, royal expert Duncan Lancombe said, if the Queen is on tour, the royal physician is with them with a bag full of their blood, just in case something happens. The bizarre inclusion in the royal luggage is due to the primordial importance of the Queen's health when she is visiting abroad. If the monarch is visiting country which is with a reliable blood supply is questionable, then a pack of her own blood will be... Well, I can understand that. You could make a conspiracy theory out of this one, but you could kind of understand it. But this is quite interesting. This is from Time magazine. This is it's a quote from People. I think it's where it says People magazine in 1985. It says, there is no coat of arms in the flask, but somewhere is one of Britain's hospitals is a convalescent patient has some of the world's most exclusive blood flowing through his or her veins. The regal donor of precise stuff was Prince Charles, 36, who has become the first member of the royal family ever to give blood in the case of ORH negative, the unprecedented puncturing of royalty to reassure Britons after a nationwide scare about the AIDS caused drop in donations. So he does apparently have this blood type. And there's another one here from the Mirror, which is Darren shared with us, which was Princess Diana had a fridge full of her own blood. Well, yeah, this is obviously a little bit gruesome, a little bit sort of gory. Princess Diana took a fridge filled with her own blood when she went abroad in case of suffering any medical problems, including being attacked. The former private secretary... Can you imagine if you're literally like that sort of position of importance, you have to take your own sort of blood with you when you go abroad?
Well, you would. If you were the rhesus negative, you couldn't have rhesus positive blood put in you, because the rhesus negative, if you were rhesus positive, you can have any blood.
Yeah.
You can have negative or positive. But if you're actually born negative, you can't have any blood, because if you have positive blood, the rhesus positive blood put in you, your body will attack it and it will kill you. So, that you can see the importance of that.
Yeah.
And the fact, what's bizarre is that Diana would have been picked. If you think about the population of the world, and like I said, most of the majority, there's a lot in Australia. There's quite a high percentage. There's different cultures around the world that have this percentage. Like I said, the highest one was in the Pyrenees. I can't think of the culture right now. I've watched it about 40 times. It's just left my brain. But you'd have to carry it. It would be necessity if you were rhesus negative, and if she fathered Charles's children, he would have to be negative, and so would she.
Well,
so it's kind of
there would be
it's kind of weird.
Given the sort of the nature of the royal bloodlines and that sort of thing, though, could this just be a genetic abnormality? And obviously, given the amount of inbreeding and different things that happen, that have happened over the courses of history with regards to sort of royal bloodlines, royal households, that sort of thing. Do you think this is something that's blown a little bit out of proportion, or do you think there's something to it?
Oh, I think there's absolutely something to it. I think this if they're rhesus negative, there is definitely something to it, because the blood doesn't fit in any sort of natural evolutionary state of human beings. It doesn't belong. We should be all positive, rhesus positive. That's what the scientific study should say. That's what the academics will say. I've watched a couple of things where they say if academics talk about it, they're struck off. It's that a touchy subject.
Yeah.
Because it's like one of them things. It's like if you found the Ark of the Covenant, would you open it?
Yeah.
That's the reason the Ark of the Covenant isn't on public display, because it's as much as it's an idol, it can be used to devastate. Same thing, I think, with this blood type. If you open it, if you talk about it and you research it and you find out that it doesn't belong here, and where did it come from?
Yeah.
It's the same thing. I think that's why it's a bit of a conspiracy behind it.
And the fact you have such sort of prolific and sort of you've got probably one of the most powerful families on planet Earth, even today. I would say that whether it's symbolically, whether it's physically, whatever, there's a lot. The royal family, the British royal family, holds a lot of weight in the hearts and minds of people in Britain, and are probably failing a bit more so these days, but also in the Commonwealth as well. And it's quite something. It was to be honest with you, when I received that email, it was like, we've had these messages over 3 or 4 years now, and I often kind of have these almost sort of thoughts to myself, as if, how would I explain this to different people, and try and sort of articulate it in my mind, what I'm going to say when I come on these streams, how I'm not going to look like a complete utter crazy person. And literally, as this it keeps connecting strands. It's like I saw something yesterday, which was a meme on Facebook, right? And I often get, with regards to my mediumship and stuff, will kick in certain times. And the meme said, why are the government not operating on people who are unhealthy, yet testing people who are healthy? And I just looked at the meme and thought, well, I can actually give you an answer to that, right? I could, regardless of whether or not, what you think of what's happening, what's going on, I could give you a logical, viable answer to that question, right? But that's the wrong question.
Right.
The question that should be being asked is, That is a hell of a lot of data that's being collected on people around the world. Biological data from all these tests of healthy people who may not have gone to the doctor in their lifetime. You're getting a biological snapshot of people in what, and we've seen with things like Cambridge Analytica. We've seen with how data has been used with the NSA leaks and stuff like that. People in authority can't be trusted with our biological data, and it's already been saying in the UK that they're going to take the data from NHS track and trace and give it to the police authorities so they can check in on people who are quarantining and this sort of thing. So I kind of asked that question, out in public forum yesterday. What is it? What would happen to that data? Does anyone know what security barriers are put in place? What data protection there is for people's biological data when they have these tests? And there has been a lot of this is being done by Serco, and I know that they have had a history of issues with data going missing or data being sold and that sort of thing. And then I came across this, so I'm just going to bring this up on the screen now. And this is UK legislation. It's from the .gov website. It's 2020 number 391, National Security. The coronavirus retention of fingerprints and DNA profiles in the interests of national security regulations 2020. Made at 11:35 a.m. on the 1st of August 2020. Laid before Parliament at 2:55 p.m. on the 1st of April. Sorry, on the 1st of April 2020, not April. And it's coming into force on the 2nd of April. So they actually do retain all the information from these tests for national security reasons. I will put this link in the description below so you guys can have a little read through it yourself. And, this is just a friendly warning to say, what is happening to this data that's being collected on people. Because you look into, when it comes into things like, you look into that side of that sort of conspiracy, and whether or not it's bogus, whether or not it's genuine or not, the DNA has a part to play in it, apparently, if I'm correct in saying.
Well, think of it from a psychological point of view, right? Everybody that's going to get tested, right, are going to be at a high level of fear, right? So they're going to have indicators of that in their blood, right? So because when you're fearful, you release different chemicals, different things in your blood. Stress can be shown quite easily in a blood test. So you take the populace of people who are just going to get tested, right? Whether they, the majority of people, it seems, are getting tested for just to be tested, right? The people who are well, that seems to be the same, a lot of the case. And, those who are tested with the coronavirus, they're checking their levels. And I suppose if you look at that from a psychological point of view, that is quite important information. Because if you've got the majority of people showing high levels of stress in their blood samples and the genetics, then you can use that. That information is quite powerful. You can study on what is there. So you look at a group. Say you had a load of tests, just an example, in the Rhondda, right?
Okay.
And you can look at their levels, and then you look at the levels, say, from Cardiff. And then you would say, right, what information are they giving? What information are they putting out? How do they feel? Are they, yes, sir, dib, dib, dob, dob, we're going to follow the rules, and the government is absolutely out to save our skin? Or are you of the mind of, this is all a load of nonsense, what are they doing? Is anybody else seeing this? Because I feel like I'm living in an alternate reality. That information, like what Cambridge Analytica did, is really important. It is valuable it is a commodity. It can do a lot in the wrong hands, and it always seems to land in the wrong hands. And that's what they're going to use it for. Personally, that's what I think. That's the type of mindset we're dealing with. You look at Sage, and you look at the psychological people behind the government who impose these things and have a hand in it and say these people can take, and they've looked at psychology and what groups and different things. That information is, oh my God, it's priceless. It's priceless. To look at it at a genetic level is priceless.
I absolutely agree with you. I just want to bring something to your attention, Richard, right? Because I've got you kind of on screen now, because I'm kind of fiddling behind the scenes here. I come across well.
With the computer, I hope, yeah? Well,
I can't
see you. That'd be weird.
It's just struck me here about the session that we did the other day, the one that we put out about the scam. And, it says, I'm just bringing the responses up on screen here now, okay? It says, your police department in some kind of a dare, are you? Give up the peace administered. Why do you want so many wars here? And while 5G is here, look at what they will deploy to serve inquiry. What do I do? It's coming in closer. The bit I wanted to highlight on is, it says, when we have to promise, they are bidding on every relevance. Trump gone too far of what's becoming a coup. Of the whole time they're running this main scam they are pulling. And I asked who's pulling the scam. It says big business. Beyond anyone else who might know anything about it. This obviously complicated scheme, while the whole metal skeleton, as a matter of fact, I would rather plain make see what's rolling out. It's above the state. Now, I firmly believe that if there is something nefarious going on here, it is above state level. I don't believe that, Boris Johnson.
It's going to come from money.
It's going to come.
Yeah.
And it's going to come from, even if it is, happened as exactly as we saw it and rolled out in the media, you are going to have consortiums, corporations, and big businesses that are going to be going, that is a shed load of data. We want that data because we can use that for X, Y, and Z. Now, whether that X, Y, and Z is nefarious or not is another thing. Careful sort of not to make sort of accusations, sorry. But it's quite interesting how we had those sets of responses and they are starting to come to fruition.
Well, I'm not worried about making accusations. I think they use it to cause harm. I think they use that information to all sorts of nasty shit. I think they will. I don't think for a second. If you look at Cambridge Analytica,
I agree with you.
Weapons grade subversive advertising. That is changing your opinion. So it's something you firmly believe. They bombard you with enough information to change your opinion. And false information. And then you've got things like Facebook and YouTube and everything telling us what we can and can't see. Yeah. When Facebook was the one that sold the information to a company that uses false information to change your frigging mind.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, they did. Bollocks to them. Sorry. No, they can shove off. They're gonna.
My point in that was that there are going to be people with different agendas, and some of them might be good, some of them might be bad. I wasn't trying to label everyone under the same umbrella. That's all I was trying to put out. What I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I can see it. Yeah, but
I don't like the way.
I don't know a big company. I don't know a big company. I've never heard of a big company, right?
that you
this
trust.
ever just... Yeah, you don't.
No.
You really, who in the world can you trust right now? I've said this in a video that got taken down off YouTube. Who are our candidates to look up to? Who is there in the world that we can put our faith in?
Yeah.
If you can find him, please send him away. I want to chat to him.
Yeah.
That has, apart from the people like Russell Brand, and and people like that,
Well,
and
to be honest with you,
Mr. Ike, and
I wouldn't even put them forward, Russell Brand or Mr. Ike, as much as Russell Brand. I'm still torn. I'm a lot more sold on him now than I ever used to be, because I think he has been manipulated in the past. But that's just my personal opinion. Around, but the fact he has stuck to it, I do appreciate. I do like, but this is the thing, isn't it? We are living in a world where it's I've got a reality check sometimes, because I'm like, have I gone so far that I actually can't see what normal people see? I've seen like other YouTubers or people in my family, people in my friends talking about this stuff, and I'm like, really, you don't see what I'm seeing?
You take this reptilian concept, right? You take this reptilian concept. This is a good one, right? Because I had a brilliant discussion about it the other day. I can't prove it either way, right? Right now, as much as I would like to, I can't prove that there isn't reptilians running this planet. Because if you put people, if you take the reptilians out of it and you just leave it with people, it's still pretty shit.
Yeah.
They're still doing a really rough job. They're taking all for themselves and putting people in harm's way, right? There's all these people going missing around the world. It's like 25,000 children go missing in the UK every year. Missing. That means without a trace. That means vanished, right? You add that up across the planet. It's like 9 million people a year, and the majority of them are kids. And they go missing. It's like, by now, in this time, in just the time we've started this YouTube thing we've been doing, right? Paranormal Now. That's like, 70 million people. That's a lot of people. That's just vanished off the face of the planet. You have no trace of them. And you start to add it all up like that, and you look at the way they do things, and you look at like all the people that's going to come out now, right? That like who had ties with like Jimmy Savile and all that, right? Yeah, there's something wrong. There's something wrong. There's something wrong at the top, right? There's something wrong, and you can't. I wish with all my might that I didn't see it like that, but I do. No. And I've looked at this stuff for years, and every time I look, it never gets better. No. It just gets, in fact, it just gets worse. Anybody like Corbyn, look at him. Look at what Corbyn, he stood on a soapbox for 20 years, right? All right, the man had some views that maybe people didn't like, but he stood on a soapbox for 20 years. I think it was more than that, saying that these people are doing these bad things. And when he had his turn to prove it, to show it, where is he?
Yeah.
He had a chance. He would have shown the world the truth of it, right? As much as he was mixed up in it, he would have still said, well, I told you about this, because every time he said, I told you, he was right. So, this is the way is it, that I was trying to say the other day, that reptilian conspiracy has validity. It has credence. You could see, as mad as it sounds to a layman, it could be.
I think
it could be that they are.
It's the image of literally you'd walk up to the Queen, sort of like rip her head off, and there's a reptilian underneath. I don't think it's that simple. I actually think it's more on an ethereal level than it is actually on a physical level. I don't think it's like a lizard wearing a human suit, to be honest with you. I think it's more like what we've had in the responses, where they actually incarnate in the sense of their souls incarnate in human form, or they take a human form. So they might go through the same sort of process as we do, with the differences perhaps they remember more of who they are, rather than having the trigger that makes us forget. Perhaps they remember. And the other thing that we've had, I want to bring this in just to mention for people, is because I know there are people who have contacted us who have had activity and they've actually seen beings that look reptilian or reptile-like. Okay, we've had that. People, not every being that you see that will look reptilian is bad. You can actually, I know a couple of people who work with dragon entities, and sometimes they would appear like a dragon, like you would normally see, like the Welsh dragon, and sometimes they actually appear in a semi sort of human form. So it's not necessarily, if you are having those experiences, it's not always necessarily a bad thing. And I think, this sounds weird, but I think that we do have ties. There are some of us walking this earth, and I think that's part of the reason why we've had the stuff with the Council of 12 and all the rest of it. I think we do have some sort of ties to a family, like what they say about starseeds, and a family beyond, where we are on the earth, our earth family. And just because, so obviously if you believe there's an afterlife, a place you go after death, it stands to reason that you came from that place before you came to Earth. But you don't necessarily, all of us, all 7 billion of us, all have come from the same place. We could have all gone, we could incarnate in different areas around the universe, for all we know. So I think, and a lot of people who are contactees and that sort of thing, have actually come out with this sort of stuff and have said this before, where they've had these sort of types of experiences, and sometimes they have been nasty, and sometimes they have been nice. But I suppose it's like anything else. If you're looking at any sort of culture or any society, you wouldn't find that every German in World War II was a Nazi. You wouldn't have found that every Japanese person was a crazed, a Jap, like they would have said in the propaganda in World War II. There are levels within different societies of beings, of people, and that sort of thing. So I think people oversimplify it, because if there is any truth to this, there'll be mechanisms behind it that sort of govern the way that we actually enter this world in the sense of human consciousness, and how that consciousness leaves this world and where it goes to, and that sort of thing. What's your view on that?
Well, personally, if I ever did meet the Queen, I wouldn't try and rip her head off. Right, just throw that out there, Jar. Right, because I don't think you'd actually get, if she was wearing a mask, I don't think you'd get to see what's underneath it, because you'd be probably dead. But yeah, don't reckon anybody get knighted and try and pull the Queen's head off. But if
I was being a little bit facetious.
But that's the theory, right? That is the theory. They're wearing like human suits and they pop out. I've heard the stories. I've seen the videos. I've read about it. They morph into these like 8 foot, 7 foot, 9 foot lizards. After being like the little, the Queen, and you read about it. I can't prove that isn't true. Could it be possible? Absolutely. I had this conversation the other day. It's as mad as it sounds. Could it be possible? Yeah, of course it could. We live in a universe that we are just a blink of an eye. Humanity is how long this universe has been around. I'm a firm believer that there's a big galactic council up there, and the Earth is in quarantine, and we are like zoo animals because we're so primitive. They watch over us sometimes like spies. You get spies from Russia. They go to America, China, to America, this and that. America over there, the same thing happens. You get spies that come down, they influence the Earth, they do things, they get all sorts of naughty, and yeah, I'm quite quite happy in our belief. Doesn't if it sounds mad, it sounds mad. That's what I believe. But it's hard for people because there is a psychology to us, and just to think that people are that innately selfish and cruel and thoughtless and heartless is a hard thing to grasp. But they are. The simple fact of it is they are. And people who, it's like that saying, the higher up the tree the monkey climbs, the more he shows his ass. And these people in power, they don't have to answer to anyone. They don't have to look down from their ivory towers. They don't, it doesn't affect them what happens to the rest of us. Boris Johnson, he's a millionaire, but he's not the man in charge. Absolutely not a chance. He's just like, they've always been a puppet. He's like the face that takes the brunt of it. They might tell him he's in charge. He might somewhere inside him think he's in charge. I can't see it because I think as soon as they step foot in them positions, they're told who's in charge, or they're told that they're not in charge. And this is the way the world is. It will continue regardless of the answers. If we found out tomorrow, if all of a sudden all these like into The Simpsons, all these famous people and the royal family and all these presidents and all that just pull their heads off, right? Just pull their faces off, and they got a big snake face, and they go in, yeah, we did a number on you. What are we going to do about it? What would we do about it? What would happen? Yeah. What do they think would happen to the world? It's all well and good saying this stuff is out there, but what are you going to do about it? What would you do about it? That's the real questions.
Yeah.
Can you imagine how hauntingly awful that would be? Yeah. It's like all this thing, if people really knew about child trafficking, if they really knew, they really saw it, if it was just on the telly for a week, every channel, every second of every day for just a week. Can you imagine the mental distress that would cause? But by ignoring it, the person suffering is facing way worse than you just watching it on telly. But if you think about that action, that's selfish. If you think about it, you don't want to see that. That's selfish. But, you not wanting to see it is going to allow it to continue to happen.
And I think, like, the messages that we are getting, and I want to make 2 points here, Richard, because there's a couple of things on the chat that I just want to bring.
I can't see the chat and nothing, so you'd have to inform me.
Just want to bring awareness to a couple of things on the chat. So I want to say hello to. I've just discovered I can actually make the text bigger on the chat, so now my blind eyes can read the chat properly. So just bear with me a second. We got Paul Culliford. Nancy, and Lumastrisk. I think that's right. I'm sorry if I've got that wrong. Thank you guys for showing and for contributing here. But Nancy said Sylvia Ivanova is running a large set of prophecies on her site now. She's sharing some interesting things there, and it's woo-woo but worth looking at. I always turn over every rock I find. The funny reason why I wanted to pick up that comment is because I am pretty sure, is she like a very like an older lady, like had quite fair hair, because I'm pretty sure I watched a documentary on her on Amazon Prime recently, and I love my prophecies. Paul mentioned Trump's a 5G whiz and also a time traveller. Entertain yourselves on YouTube. I do want to do a time travel episode where we look back at some of these time travellers and see if they predicted 2020, because most of them didn't. But I have the Trump time travelling. We did cover it a bit in a previous Now debate in the channel where we talked about the adventures of Baron Trump and the last president. I'm sure on November 3rd that we will find out, and perhaps we'll bring some of that into the the election special that we're doing with Jesse and Nicholas George, which is coming up on November 2nd.
I love the time travelers, right? When they show the videos, they go, you see like they got like a Russian accent or something, and they go, I took a video of the future, and they're showing it on a Samsung S5. It kills me. It kills me. It's like that was old. That was old before you went into the future. You're crazy. But no, it's.
I love the fact that the actual scene that they show is from Babylon 5: The Lost Tales.
Yeah, I know. Some of these time travelers, brilliant. They, like, you know, if you could create time travel, right? You had a multi-trillion pound machine, and you send like Ivan from up the road who used to work in a garage. I mean, I don't know. I'd like to cover some of that. I think it'd be great.
Yeah,
but some of it is just so funny. It's just brilliant. Like, it's just brilliant. Like, you know, if we, we'll have to cover it in a show.
Yeah, hi to J Glow. Nice to see you here. Paul says mass awakening. Literally, to answer your question, Rich, and I'm just gonna go to the. I'm gonna bring you up on screen here because so I can actually read here. Again, we are going to be covering these in future videos, but this is a set of responses from the 10th Now investigation. They are not on the channel yet, but they will be up on the channel in the coming weeks, as we are going through this set of responses quite a lot, and there's going to be quite a few more responses videos coming out, because I've still got the rest of that session from the 3rd of October, plus I'll probably be doing another session tomorrow because it's my brother's birthday, and I'd like to wish him happy birthday. And I think that'll be a cool little nugget for the channel. The final victory will become something I can't hear it here. We have a look. Okay, let's find the answer. But faith has a part of it. I count the fears for 1 year, filled with the horrors of they are crying, let it go, and breaking the repulsive horror that works so well there, and attract what's best for you. So the late visitor and accomplice detach you, as once they fill the fire, and we are illuminated. Troubled times no more come. God bless. And what is revealed is applied to spiritual knowledge. They talk about that live, and the world resists what's meant to be. Reduce the weekly dirt. An age of being fallen will lift. Should I show this little bit of responses, or should we wait? Should we wait until they're out on a video, Rich? What would you say?
I'd put them in a video so people can look at them. You know, keep looking at them.
Yeah.
I think because like we just heard, there's such a spiritual message. Is something, and we keep saying it on the channel. And, you know, as much as we'd like, you know, we've said about it, we've been honest about it, and said it's open to interpretation. Some of the things you hear, some of the things I don't hear, Jazz. And some, you know, but this, whether you like it or not, the message is spiritual. And that means something. That has meaning. If there was sort of like nothing underlying in it, you could quite easily go, but there is that spiritual understanding in the message. And if you're a spiritual person, if you've done the meditation, if you've had the chance to look inwardly and have the opportunity, and you've taken that to reflect on just existence and everything else that comes with that, you'll understand. You see the message. It's sort of like it stands out.
Well,
and I think that's important to put across.
I think this here does it perfectly. You asked the question, what do we do if that ever becomes revealed? You know, if it ever becomes revealed that whatever happens, this is what we've been told. I want you to come and get me on that day. Connect with God and understand that my road, and understand my road. You tell the men to leave the children alone. The cursed people are brought to bear. Was originally the garden. though it definitely may not feel like it, it will come. Great manner of living, great manner of living, it's the dollar to fund the keeper, straight to an illegal coup, unfettered make the start to turn to the Satanist way, and really gives birth, helping them to crawl, but there will be a cure in the end that warns the evil of the world, our love will look down on those who assemble, the power that lies down in front of you, and you know we were mad at them for so many years, this evil. Because of the reptilians brought the fear directly. The slaves of political power, the fearful have strength to believe in the name of Jesus. You know, it's almost like a prayer-like quality to that.
Mm. Very much so. Maybe you want to say amen at the end.
Yeah.
It's you know, this is all. It's a funny old rabbit hole in here, all this. It's a funny old rabbit hole. I mean, the further you delve into it, the more strange and
but it's like from this, reality, I guess. Like,
yeah. It's like this term woke. You know, you keep hearing it. The woke people cause this, and the woke people are disfacing statues and monuments. Like, why? You know, you see how they're turning that around. The woke people. I wouldn't if it is. You know, I consider myself like quite awake in terms of reality, but I wouldn't go around disfacing statues of any kind, right? Regardless, because one, you don't know the backstory, especially war monuments. As much as I hate war, and I think it's absolutely balmy, anybody that's actually fought in it, for whatever reason, they might have felt like they would, you know, they give their life to give you freedom. And dishonour that.
This is what you're seeing in the media now. Yeah, this is what you're seeing in the media now, but it's all being turned around, so you can't, you know, it's muddied the waters. It's like you look at some of the stuff you read in take QAnon for example, right? And you know I've had my doubts about the whole QAnon conspiracy. You know I've got my questions and my reservations. And those reservations I still hold, right? Even though some stuff does seem to be coming out now and it does be giving it a bit more validity. But it's a weird thing because if you actually look at the posts themselves, they don't really say anything negative or nasty. You know, or anything sort of controversial. They are a lot of times. You know, there was a really cool sort of article I seen the other day. It was like, is it actually some sort of like internet role playing game or something that's being mistaken as this big conspiracy? Which I thought would be hilarious if that was the truth.
Yeah.
You know, I don't particularly believe Donald Trump is the savior of humanity. Quite frankly, you know, I was watching the presidential debate he had with Biden, and it was like, it's like watching two children argue. You know, it's one of them, like, and but you look at it and you think people are becoming more aware of this sort of stuff, and when you look at how the media is portraying it, it's completely out of touch. It's completely out of touch with how people are feeling, how people are thinking. And the worst thing is when you listen to, you know, when you listen to different people, you listen to their views, you listen to their thoughts and opinions and things, they're coming from the same place. It's just the interpretation, it's just the frame of reference. If you get beyond the frame of reference, you can have a conversation about this sort of stuff, because irregardless of whether it's being done by reptilians and giant lizard people and all the rest of it, it's still fucked. It's still pretty screwed up, like, you know. Irregardless, you know, things need to change. We are in a point where we have got access to much more information now than we've ever had in the history of planet Earth. We can literally see something happen as it happens, and that's changing the cultures, changing the fabric of humanity. It's changing our habits. It's changing the way we view the world. It's changing we're interacting with people. It's changing, it's breaking down things like cultural barriers and that sort of thing as well. So it is actually having a massive impact on the world. So there's so many levels to this that and I do find when you look at people, as much as I think the body of work a lot of these people explore is really interesting, I do think they kind of negate some of the complexities surrounding it, because I always find that saying, the devil is in the detail, to be true. Is that you have to have a look at the dynamics of it. And I think that, it's not unhealthy to go there and actually entertain these things and see, because there is, when you're watching the mainstream media, when you're watching like the 6 o'clock news, or you're reading it, there's a kind of a safety there. And when you start experiencing these different things, like you imagine someone had a near-death experience, right? It completely changed their outlook on life. The amount of people I've dealt with that's gone through that experience, of having that experience of being aware after dying, that's there's so many things that people experience, and once you've experienced it, you can't unexperience it. You know that these different realms exist. They exist and they have a bearing, because the amount of people who've come back and then still been clinically dead but could say something that was happening in the room to prove that they were still conscious is unreal.
Well, that test they did in, I think, Switzerland or somewhere like that, they had 96 volunteers to take a drug to be clinically dead and come back and write about it.
Yeah.
I mean, where do you find 100 people to do that? And they said the actual scientific study, the people involved in it said, we're awful sorry about this, but we don't want to change anyone's opinion, but this is what came out of it.
Yeah.
And they all had, their experiences were so similar, you couldn't, and they picked people who were atheists, religious. They really hand-picked these people, hand-selected them, and they come back and say, wow. So, it's, I don't know. It's we are at a point where we can do so much, right? And the future, our children, the people of the future will look back, right? And that's one thing I've always haunted me, is they look back and think, what the hell were you lot doing to allow this to happen when that last drop of water gets drunk, when that last bit of food is eaten, when they're suffering, when they're dying. I mean, the statistics coming out in 2030, below every single human being on Earth will have cancer. What's all that about? Where we got nuclear power plants melting down and pollution. We got our own council involved in, they tell people that you've got a duty of care to watch your waste, and their bags end up in Malaysia. They were recycling bags. Ended up in Malaysia. That's a part of our council, like. They got a duty of care to find out where that goes, right? All right, they didn't use the company after or whatever, but that's the way, the nature of the world, like. And the future will look back and look directly at us and go, what? Why? When they're suffering and they're in turmoil, we're the ones who are going to look back on and blame. We're the ones who are going to go, what did you do about it? Well, you had a couple of protests. That's what it's going to. And as bad as it is, and people who are protesting and standing up to it are trying to fight against a system that it seems impossible to defeat. But they're still going to feel like that, aren't they? They're still, and they've earned the right to it. If they're dying, if their lives are so short, or if they're watching the people they care about suffer. I don't want to be part of that. I want to be part of the future that looks back and we're on it. We're on it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
We're bigged up. We're on, our names are on plaques somewhere. The world looks back at us and goes, thank you. You look at the life we have now, because you went, nah, we're not having this. This is all shit. That's what come on, we can strive for that. We can make that world happen. It's in our palm of our hands. It's written in history. It's written in books of religion. If you really go and have a look, if you take out all the man nonsense, it's written in there. It's in the palm of our hands to make that future possible. To make that future possible, it's right. We can achieve it right now today, and it's all about pollution and business and money and power, and with all and the rest of us just caught up in the mundane life of work, and that's and maybe watching telly. So,
but I do think there is a bit of a turning of the tide happening. It's not enough yet, but I do think more and more people are becoming aware, and I think it will take a bit more time. Yeah, but I everything that we've had, it's always come back down to that. This is not something that's might happen, could happen if we're lucky. It's going to happen, and I think it will get to that point. It'll get to that tipping point, and we've just got to keep doing the best we can, putting the information out there, and just just living this experience. That's all you can do, guys. Is literally be love. Be kind to people. Be compassionate to people. Listen if someone's got an alternative point of view, and don't kick in that reptilian brain that makes you want to tear their head off because they think differently to you, and because you're so afraid. Because there's no need to be so afraid. We've shown on this channel conversations with a boy that I watched die 20 years ago. His birthday's tomorrow. We've gone to people's houses and we've brought through loved ones that have passed away, and they've given us their names, they've given us who they are. There is so many stories. There's so many kids on planet Earth that can remember their past lives. It's all, like they've said, it's all to solve the magnificent, and it's all true. And I just think we need to be brave, because fortune favours the bold. And I'm saying to be brave in our own life. If something doesn't feel right in your own life, then don't go with it. Because the old ways are not working anymore. And we need to get out of the mindset that we have to be violent, or we have to be hateful, harmful, or brutal to get what we want. We don't. We just need to actually realise what it is that we want. And 9 times out of 10, we'll find that the things we think we want is because of what we've conditioned to believe we want. What we actually want or need is minuscule compared to what we actually have. I suppose since I've been on this journey, I've got rid of more stuff than I've ever owned in my entire life. Because I don't need it. I don't. It's just one of them things. And this is a journey, of, when I say about mass awakening, a lot of people don't realise that it's a journey of understanding yourself. It's understanding who you are. Asking yourself that question, who am I? Not who am I in relation to my best friend, or my girlfriends, or my boyfriends, or my mates, or the boys, or the girls, or whatever. Who am I in my own uniqueness? Because I went through that for a lot of years where I wouldn't express myself because I was too afraid of what other people thought of me. Until I actually realised that the way people thought of me was inhibiting something I really wanted, and someone I really wanted to be with. So I just done it. And I never looked back. The life I wanted, I went for it, because at the end of the day, the person who was losing out was me. And I done it in a caring, compassionate way, and understanding why people feel the way they do. Richard, any final thoughts for the evening, buddy?
No, as in the famous words of Jerry Springer, take care of yourselves and each other. That's what we're going to leave it with. Because that was a bit of a Springer moment, wasn't it? That was a bit of a Springer moment.
Why not? Why not?
I'm just, just, it's no, like Jazz said, there's no good being afraid of saying something. Like, some people might think we're as mad as a box of frogs, and then some people might go there onto something. So it's preference, but none of us have to hurt each other over it. But, we got some interesting stuff coming out. We're going to do a video, Jazz, on that UFO that we filmed, which interrupted everything. And, we just keep putting it out there, guys. We got some. If you've got anything you'd like us to cover, anything you'd like us to talk about, subjects, doesn't matter what it is, drop us a message, let us know in the chat. Find us. Jazz knows all the details because I'm useless. Much useless.
Well, they're on the bottom of the screen. Yeah. They're on the bottom of the screen now. So it's paranormalnow@outlook.com. Just drop us an email there, or you can message our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/paranormalnow. But you can message us. The best way to get in touch with us really would be either through Facebook or directly via email. So it's paranormalnow@outlook.com. If any of you guys are having issues, I know there's a couple of you that have messaged us, so it is in hand, and we will obviously be talking to you guys individually in due course. The website is coming soon, which is going to have a few extra bits and pieces happening with it. So thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for joining us in the chat. And
I know, just one more thing. Sorry, Jazz, just one more thing. If you know any paranormal evidence you see on the net as well, right, anyway, and you'd like us to review it and give our paranormal opinion of it, that's something we're interested in. It's something I love watching paranormal videos on the net. I love it. Some of the evidence and some of the things people are capturing right now is just epic. I've never seen. It's changing the world. It's starting. You can see it starting to change the way people think about this stuff. Some of the evidence is incredible. If you've got any you'd like us to critique, or you've got any evidence yourself,
ghosts, UFOs, your stories, anything at all. It is. There will be we are going to have a submission area on the website for people's own evidence. But for now, just email paranormalnow@outlook.com. Anything. Or you can join our Facebook group. Just search Paranormal Now Investigations on Facebook. And you can join the group. And that's where we share all the different links to bits of evidence and things like that. I will leave, I think the links for the groups is in the description below. And all the links for tonight's show will be in the description for below as well. Thank you very much, guys. I've been John Walters.
I've been Richard Oliver.
Love and light, Parapeeps.
Love and light, Parapeeps.